Okay. Um, we got done with Asahi. Now we're gonna go with Bristol-Myers Squibb versus Superior Court of California. Before we go in there, though, I do want to note some cases in which we went over that bear mentioning, but I don't want to make like a video for. And it's Keaton versus Hustler. And these are just kind of, I wrote the note here that we just kind of want to know their fact patterns to understand how uh, SPJ can be exercised, um, especially in contrast to Walden versus Fior. And so, just briefly, Keaton and Hustler, and it's Hustler Magazine. They sued, P sued, the appellate sued because they had, um, I don't know, there's like some libel that happened in the magazine, and they sued in New Hampshire, even though Keaton was in New York, like a citizen in New York. But they sued in New Hampshire because their statute of limitations did not run out in New Hampshire. So it was like their last attempt to take down the appellee. And so the holding, in short, said you can exercise um, specific personal jurisdiction because the Hustler does purposely avail themselves to New Hampshire. Um, that they direct their sales across the country and including New Hampshire, and that they specifically benefit from New Hampshire. And so it is, so you can hail them into the forum state. Okay. Calder versus Jones is a very similar story, except that um, the libel happened in California, and yeah, they were injured in California, right, so to speak. I mean, I think they were injured in interstate here too. But I think Keaton versus Hustler, I don't think they were injured in New Hampshire. I think they just went there to sue them, right? I think Calder versus Jones, they were in California when they read the libelous article. Um, Shirley Jones from the Partridge Family, which I have no idea who that is. So the harm happened in California, um, but I guess like the tort, so to speak, the libel was written in Florida, presumably. And so the question was, can they exercise specific personal jurisdiction? And the court did say yes here too, for similar reasons, is that they purposely avail themselves to California as well. Now, Walden versus Fior is slightly different, or actually not slightly, very different in that, and this is top of the dome because I don't really want to get into much of it, is that the I think the appellant was on their way back from Puerto Rico to Arizona. And while they had a layover spot in Georgia, sued in no, Florida. Florida? I thought it was Georgia. In Florida. And they took the money, or sorry, they had a lot of money on them. And so the person, like the flight security, took it and didn't give it back for a long time. And Fior, yeah, sorry, Fior, the appellee, sued for some kind of tort and tried to hail them into Arizona. But this didn't work because one, it happened in Florida. That's one. And then two is that the Florida guy has no contacts with Arizona at all. Nevada, NZ. Why I say NZ? This is Nevada. This is Nevada. Um, and so you know, um, yeah. I mean, none of it was aimed in Nevada. So, anywho, Um, it was in Georgia. Why did I say Florida? Okay. Okay, so anyway, we're gonna go into Bristol Squibb because that's the purpose. So this is like if you were to categorize this, you can kind of categorize it as more SPJ cases to know. And right, this is the part of the class where we're defining personal jurisdiction and specifically specific personal jurisdiction. This case, Bristol-Myers Squibb Co. versus Superior Court of California. Um, Bristol-Myers, this was new to me, and it probably shouldn't be new to me, but Bristol-Myers is one of the world's biggest pharmaceutical companies, to my knowledge, as of recently. And defendant or appellee in this case is a group of people that are suing big pharma in California. Okay, now Bristol Myers is not in California. They don't operate there. They do sell there, and where they're at, they're incorporated in Delaware, and their principal place of business is in New York, because that's where their headquarters is. So I would suspect that's their nerve center as well. Now, the drug that is being sued over is called Plavix, and they're suing like the appellees are not from California themselves either. They're non-residents and they went to California to sue because they have extensive business in California. Like that was the argument. And said the trial court in California said, yes, you can hail them in. Appeals court said you can hail them in. And then I went to the Supreme Court of the United States and they said, actually, you're both wrong. You can't hail them in. Okay. And they said no specific personal jurisdiction for a lot of reasons. I have here outlined four. That other plaintiffs obtaining and ingesting the drug there is not does not allow the state to exercise SPJ. Okay. So this one is because it's like not them themselves, it's like other plaintiffs. It's kind of a weird complaint, right? Two is P has no connection to the forum state. And so I'm gonna amend some of this stuff. Actually, let me just take this out. Let me just take this out too. They do have a connection to the forum state. They just don't have the connections that they have are of this character of number three, which is they're all disconnected and they're not related to the forum state and they're not clearly related to the claim and they're not very clearly related to D's conduct. So the main takeaway here is that the claim, the defendant's conduct, and the forum state, they all have to be very related to each other. And so, the conduct, the contacts that Bristol-Myers has in California is, I mean, yeah, they sell some of their stuff there. But the claim also depends, the claim that the group brought about was that they have extensive activity in there because they do a bunch of their research there. But that's not necessarily like the most connected to the actual claim of products liability. Okay. The complaint itself was weird in the forum state because these are non-residents, and so some of them did ingest it there and some of them did not ingest it there and harm occurred elsewhere. And so that makes it weird. And so because the forum and the specific conduct of Bristol-Myers is not clearly connected, you can't exercise personal jurisdiction here. That was not the clearest. So if I were to try to bottom line this, know it as these last two holdings. I'm not even gonna write it. They gotta be related. Okay. The claim has to be related, the conduct has to be related, and the forum state has to be related to the conduct in the claim. Okay. That's about it.